North State neurologist who sees a lot of the local patients is, in his words, extremely alarmed at their lessening cognitive abilities. They can't think clearly. How many people are getting forgetful? Your short-term memory is the first thing to go as your neurological system becomes damaged from air pollution. And now look at the studies we have. And I don't want anybody to believe a word I'm saying. Please just search this out. We're now seeing studies from major institutions stating that particulates in the air appear to be the greatest single causal factor for neurological disease. They don't acknowledge climate engineering, of course. That would be a grave mistake on their part, because the hammer of the government would be lowered on them immediately in countless ways. It's just a fact. This is a story that the government will try to hide as long as they can, but this issue, more than any other issue, affects every single one of us, everything we hold dear. It's the greatest single effect on the future that our children may not have now because of the damage being done by these programs. A lot of sources of human damage to the planet. I'm not trying to ignore that at all. But the greatest single assault on the environment, on us, on the biosphere as a whole, is without question, mathematically, climate engineering.
Wherever you see the jet chemtrails go over, you're going to get aluminum, barium, strontium coming down on you.
Why would we not believe it's happening when what we see in the sky matches exactly the expressed goal of numerous geoengineering patents, about 160 or more? Why would we not believe this is happening when every element showing up in the rain tests are the primary elements named in those geoengineering patents? Why would we not believe this is happening when we have escalating levels in very short time frames, as short as 5 years? We see rain levels of aluminum, for example, escalating as much as 50,000%. California air quality studies do not show these metals migrating from China, and it's of recent origin. So, this bombardment of heavy metals that's raining down on us is coming from somewhere. Why would we not believe geoengineering is occurring when the weather patterns are so altered here in exactly the manner stated by geoengineers and reports on the consequences for geoengineering, which are diminished rainfall, which are increased ozone destruction? We have a massive ozone hole in the northern hemisphere now.
Oh, God bless you, sir. Well, what I know is this, and I know the site you're talking about. The problem is whether that's science fiction or real. And I've actually read that before. I remember that last year. It doesn't matter, because the Sunshine Project 15 years ago, based in Austin, like WikiLeaks, got declassified Marine Corps documents that the Marine Corps freaked out on how to reclassify. This ended up being in the newspaper. The Marine Corps actually went to their headquarters and threatened them. The professors at UT, I had them on. It was UT professors running it. And it's a plan with helicopters, including remote-controlled drone helicopters, waiting with nerve gas on board over every major city to launch and kill everybody. Now, the declassified documents dealt with opiate knockout gases that they estimate would still kill more than 10% of the population with fires, car wrecks, explosions. Like in the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where the helicopter flies over and sprays the knockout gas on all the people and the farm animals. That's really, this is how out of control the government is. I mean, they're not just going to radiate troops and give them nerve gas. They're not just going to inject people with syphilis for 45 years. They're not just taking blood from a baby at birth. They're doing it all. And yes, all nanotech is search biological nanotech. They've already rolled it out. They've got a lot of new vaccines that they call biological nanotech. And it's in the literature that you're already being injected with nanotech. The H1N1 vaccine was a engineered nanotech virus and was put out in the population the year before. That was declassified. They called it a tracker viral simulant. That it turned out was a real autoimmune suppressing weapon. It didn't even really give you the flu. And that even came out in the Canadian news. Because so many scientists and government people are not bad. The other uncompartmentalized side, that's why they want total control to shut that down. They would then go to the research at one university or at the federal government in Canada in that case and go, oh my gosh, this is giving you the regular flu. Oh my gosh, this is a nanotech. Oh, look, literature. Last year, this was put in the vaccine as a virus tracker, a quote harmless flu, but they could test the spread of it. It doesn't. They literally put a nanotech bioweapon. This came out in the news, not in speculative websites, just claiming classified documents without linking to them. When we give you a classified document, folks, we link to it. You know, we have the FBI show up here. We have the Secret Service show up here. We have the Federal Marshal show up here. You know, I get to get beaten up in parking lots. I mean, this is real. So the whole issue here is that I just don't like just thinking, oh, I got a document or this document or that without a document. Our documents will have phone numbers. You can call up angry feds on them and who will threaten you and say you shouldn't have this. Our documents become national news stories because they're real. They're rolling out everything, folks. So yes, it's the end of free will. And the establishment is insane and needs to stop it. You are the threat to the planet. You are the people that detonated over 100 high-powered hydrogen bombs in North American airspace to try to blow holes in the ozone layer and destroy the Van Allen radiation belt and ignite the atmosphere and cause a electromagnetic event to test blowing out transistors. And that's declassified. It's just the stuff that's declassified. Like I told you, one of Rick Perry's top people came to Endgame when it premiered because he knew Rick Perry was in it. And he said, no, the governor sent me down there. He didn't say it was off record. He said, I wanted to see the movie because he knows he's in it and he likes you and he's not really a bad guy. And by the way, I worked in the Army at Fort Sam Houston. And they brought in a group of special forces and we were told to give them inoculations and they died 3 days later, all of them. And we went in spacesuits basically and sprayed the whole place off with disinfectant and they threw the furniture away. And he goes, so I know your movie's real. I mean, that's what goes on. You know, and they're compartmentalized. What is this? We're just told give the guys shots. You kill them. It's just, I mean, this is what we deal with. The cult of letting these globalists do whatever they want. And you know, people say, oh, that's that crazy Alex Jones. They don't even say that anymore. It's like, what are you going to do about it? They're coming out with vaccines, quote, where you're not upset anymore. They're going to give troops when they're get out of the military. They're going to give it to all of them. They're trying to push it on, quote, the depressants right now. And folks, it literally each area of your brain associated with spiritual experiences, euphoria, that's also associated with depression. And your husband comes home, he's going to be a robot and do whatever he says like a human forklift. They're already giving troops shots that literally destroy their minds. Okay? I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that. People say, well, what do we do? I don't know. Listen, talk about it. Warn people.
I don't care if they call it no-touch torture, whatever euphemisms the U.S. government and their legal staff have come up with. This is the greatest atrocity and crime against humanity that we have known since Hitler. And they need sample points. And nobody likes to hear they were randomly chosen for torture.
So the world, so you're trying to tell me
your very consciousness, the thing you call the soul, is information contained in the biological computing machinery of your brain. And if someone can override that, you lose your sense of soul, your sense of self.
Well, it's kind of like man versus machine. Machine always moves faster than man is capable of doing.
That's right. Technology is evolving through mankind as a separate life form, faster than we evolve biologically. So machines will rule the world.
Dr. Robert Duncan put together the technology that allows the government to transmit thoughts and voices into the heads of Americans.
First question for you. What's negative about what you've done?
I've empowered the dark side by some of my work.
And what do you mean by that?
Technology is neutral. It can be used for good or evil. I've worked on projects for the CIA, Justice Department, Department of Defense.
You worked for these people. You worked on this. You helped to develop it.
I was naive. I did not know how the technologies were going to be put together and the ultimate weapon created. That's part of the whole world domination strategy. controlled the population from subconsciously to consciously.
This next story is so unbelievable, we didn't think it could possibly be true. But after receiving thousands of records and declassified reports from the Army, it's confirmed that during the Cold War, the United States military conducted secret tests on unsuspecting people in the city of St. Louis.
Lisa Martino-Taylor's life work has been to uncover details of the Army's ultra-secret military experiments carried out in St. Louis and other cities during the 1950s and 60s.
This study was secretive for a reason. They didn't have volunteers stepping up and saying, yeah, I'll breathe zinc cadmium sulfide with radioactive particles.
These Army archive pictures show how the tests were done in Corpus Christi, Texas in the 1960s. In Texas, planes were used to drop the chemical, but in St. Louis, the Army placed chemical sprayers on buildings and station wagons. City officials were kept in the dark about the tests. The Cold War cover story was that the Army was testing smoke screens to protect cities from a Russian attack.
Clearly, they went to great lengths to deceive people.
By making hundreds of Freedom of Information Act requests, she uncovered once classified documents that confirmed the spraying of zinc cadmium sulfide. The greatest concentration of this compound was sprayed near the Pruitt-Igoe housing complex just south of downtown St. Louis. It was home to 10,000 low-income people, and an estimated 70% were under the age of 12. Martino-Taylor claims they all unknowingly inhaled this compound morning, noon, and night, so the government could measure its effects on their lungs.
So this is in violation of all medical ethics, all international codes, and the military's own policy at that time.
And Venezuelan leader Hugo Chavez has once again accused the United States of playing God. This time it's Haiti's disastrous earthquake that he thinks the U.S. was behind. Spanish newspaper ABC quotes Chavez as saying that the U.S. Navy launched a weapon capable of inducing a powerful earthquake off the shore of Haiti. He adds that this time it was only a drill, and the final target is destroying and taking over Iran.
A wild accusation from Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. He says Western countries are causing drought in certain parts of the world, including Iran. He says they're using high-tech equipment to drain raindrops from clouds. He basically says European countries are stealing rain from Iran for their own use.
We're in very great danger from the pollution that's coming down over us. And we've been led astray by the military-industrial complex.
Is the government spraying dangerous chemicals over us from
Is the government experimenting with our weather?
Question at the heart of a phenomenon called chemtrails, now getting widespread attention.
Millions of tons of toxic poisons released by planes
during the Cold
as part of
War,
the government
the United
plot to
States
affect
military
climate.
conducted
The government is up there in airplanes spraying all kinds of chemicals to change or manipulate the weather, leaving what you see there, and they call that a chemtrail.
Geoengineering. They say it puts poison in the soil.
Tests show high levels of these chemicals in our rain and soil.
Using planes to spray chemicals into the atmosphere to manipulate or control.
And that's why health department records show a sharp increase in barium and aluminum in California's water supply.
We shall propose further cooperative effort between all the nations in weather prediction and eventually in weather control.
The Army's need to know more and more about weather that surrounds this planet is a vital part of the expanded research program of atomic weapons. We all talk about the weather. The Army is doing something about the weather.
Since the beginning of 1999, a series of more than 36 scientific, physical, observational, and analytic methods have been used to examine the dramatic alteration of the atmosphere that has taken place. These tests have been conducted with much labor, time, and expense. They have been conducted with very limited resources and equipment, much of it requiring original construction, development, or modification. What follows is a partial presentation of these sampling methods. The diversity and thoroughness of examination is apparent in the work that has now spanned more than 5 years. The officials and authorities have not attempted to replicate these testing methods, at least not publicly. They have not reacted to the results in any formal fashion, and they have not tangibly responded to the many calls for public inquiry and investigation that have been made. The methods and results of all testing procedures are available on the website www.carnicum.com. And this research represents a substantial body of information that may be helpful in interpreting the designs and motivations behind the aerosol operations. Essentially, the method is one of reverse engineering for a global covert operation, and there is no limit to the work that remains to be done. These findings, conducted for more than 5 years, are offered to the public. These studies begin with an examination of contrails themselves, a very common and ordinary phenomenon involving the freezing of water vapor into ice and their subsequent dissipation through evaporation and mixing. Meteorological studies of contrail formation and cloud formation have been made. Visibility standards and their reduction from a maximum of 40 to 10 miles have been called to attention. A study of pH, or of acid and alkalinity level, of rainfall has been conducted by a network of concerned citizens across the country. Highly unusual statistical results are present in the vast majority of these studies. Telephotos have been captured in the earlier phase of operations that directly show emissions from aircraft that are in complete defiance of any normal contrail formation. These unusual emissions are not a result of environmental conditions. They originate from the aircraft and can be shown in these cases to have no dependence upon even the engines of the aircraft. HEPA, or high-efficiency particulate air filters, have been used in various states to directly filter the outdoor air in repeated tests. Some of the materials found include the repeated presence of unusual filaments, a gel formation, crystals, and powders. Extraordinary levels of particulate materials have been directly observed and recorded using simple methods discovered by citizens across the country.